successfully. Okay. So our first strategy, our first product in myECon, and our most prolific product, is our financial success membership. Okay. As a matter of fact, in the near future, that's going to be changed to the cash flow success membership, right? And what it does, it empowers our members to generate cash flow with using strategies without recruiting anybody or selling anything. Now, that's very important because all of us talk to people who say, I don't like recruiting. I don't know how to recruit. I don't want to bug people. Okay? That's everybody. Every one of us have talked to people like that. Well, we call the concept income shifting or cash flow shifting because it literally shifts cash flow that would have gone to the IRS, creditors, and investors back into our to each of our pockets. Okay? If you lower your taxes, you're shifting money from the IRS back to you. If you pay off a debt early, you're shifting money that would have gone to your creditors in the form of interest payments back to you. If you become an investor, you're literally shifting money from the marketplace back to you. So we've got 5 strategies, right? The quick cash flow, the build great credit, minimize taxes, debt elimination, and invest like the pros. So these are the 5 strategies. Let's go into the back office just for a couple minutes so that you can really see this. And so this is something that I like to do and something that every one of us can do. You know, we can do it individually with our team members. And then, of course, I'm sure Bill and Dan and the whole team is, they use the strategies and talk about the strategies. Okay. So each one of these templates, of course, all of you know, they're very clickable. So when somebody comes in, then if you can show them how to change their W-4, it's not hard. They can figure it out themselves, But the bottom line is the idea is we don't owe the IRS. The IRS don't owe us at the end of the year. Okay. But we know that over 100 million people got refunds last year. Over 100 million people, like $459 billion. It's a lot of money. The average refund was over $3,000. So this is a big pool of money. Okay. So we can in about 10 minutes, somebody no more than 15, even if it's their first run, they can see how to change their W-4. So they got a job. The IRS is taking money out of their paycheck. Okay. Unfortunately, the form has poor instructions. Nobody helps. So we show the person how to correct that form. There's an IRS calculator that does that, and we've got many trainings on that. We typically see people get $300 to $500 back in take-home pay, but I've seen over 1,000 many times. Now, what if you got that extra $400 a month back into your paycheck? Okay. Now, some people would look at that and say, well, yeah, but Ivy, that's just $400. That's not a big amount of money. Well, at $400, your residual income on that would be more than many people in network marketing just working every day. But let's take it to a bigger picture. Okay. What if they got a $5,000 credit card? They owe $5,000 on a credit card. They're paying $125, $130 a month on the credit card payment every month. It's going to take them 84 months to pay it off. So they're going to more than double the payout. The payback is going to be more than double what they borrowed. What if they take the extra $400, add it to the $150 they're already paying, and now the credit card is paid off in 11 months? But now, instead of paying that $150 for 84 months, they paid it for 10 or 11 months. Take that $150 and the extra $400 they got from the IRS, invest it. And when they do that, there's going to be a $40,000 to $50,000 net cash flow turnaround. Now, how long is it going to take most people? There's not great recruiters to make $50,000 in network marketing in cash by combining their own financial picture with the strategy. Bang. Now they're making money with money. Now, let's kind of divert for a moment and let's just talk about recruiting. Wouldn't you rather have that conversation with somebody about how you're involved in a company or you got a membership and it helped you pay off a credit card 7 years earlier, and now you're investing that money? It's going to be a big turnaround for it. See, that's a great conversation piece versus, Here's the comp plan. This is how it works. Start recruiting people and make money. See, it's a broader concept. It appeals to more people, and it gives you the ability to recruit people faster. And your retention is going to be greater because the people are going to be with you now 8, 10, 15, 20 plus years. And so you're making money on them every single month. Okay. So that's one strategy, quick cash flow strategy. Okay. Then you got the credit repair. Obviously, building a great credit, a great system. We're bringing out a new one next Saturday, a new My Credit system. And then we expect before Halloween, definitely before Thanksgiving, to bring out our AI version of credit repair. Okay. But right now, this one's worked. It's helped tens of thousands of people. Well, just, I mean, if you buy a car and you've got a 770, 780 credit score versus somebody who's got a 680, I mean, come on. They're going to pay $20,000 or $30,000 more for the same car. So why not raise the credit, get a good deal on a car, get a good deal on a mortgage, and now your conversation once again becomes much broader. So whether you're posting on social media, whether you're talking to a friend, whether you're talking to someone you just met at a coffee shop or whatever, if you're talking finance, investing, credit building, that's a broader conversation, and that person is much more likely to come into business with you. All right, let's go a little bit further here. So, use that. And then once you do it, it's easy to teach it. It's 24 minutes of videos. Once you do it, it's pretty easy. Okay. And we have some really good trainings on that. Now, let's talk debt elimination. We got a debt elimination system. Okay. So, if somebody's wanting to do that, I'm more on the investment side, but if somebody wants to get rid of some debt, we got a great debt elimination, and it's simple. Watch the video, put the numbers in, their creditors, the amount they owe, the interest rate, the minimum payment, and it's going to create a plan for them to be able to pay their debt off in the most efficient way. Now, here is my second favorite strategy, okay? Minimize taxes. So we're going to provide everybody with an app, the Cash Flow Manager app. Keep up with all of their tax records so they'll be IRS compliant. But what we also do is we provide you each year with an updated version of the majority of the tax deductions that a home-based business owner would qualify for. So I just go into the IRS website each year. Okay, as a matter of fact, it's time to do it again. They're always late coming out with info. And we go through the information, publication 463, and we outline it in red, each of those, like transportation. What you got to do to write it off: mileage rate, car expenses, meals and entertainment, parking. I mean, all of these different strategies and ways to keep up with your tax records, okay? Now, here's why this one is such a favorite to me. If you learn the first one that I like to talk about is your home-based business, let the government pay the bill. That's one of my favorite points, okay? So let's say you're in myECon and you've got the $70 membership, okay? You got the $59.95 membership, all right? Or, all right, well, it's about what, $720, $800 a year. Well, if you write off your cell phone, you write off your internet access, and write off 4,000 or 5,000 miles on your car, maybe a trip. So now you got 5,000 or 6,000 in tax deductions. Each dollar in tax deductions is going to save you about 25 cents in taxes, in actual cash money in your pocket. So in other words, let's say you got 6,000 in tax deductions. Well, if the business is costing you $800 a year, the 6,000 in tax deductions is going to save you $1,500 on your taxes. You've got a positive cash flow even before you count the amount of money that you make from commissions. Now, when you get your team members to understand that, and when you're talking to somebody that you're talking to about potentially becoming a business owner, and they realize that this is going to be the worst case scenario for them, is going to be a net positive cash flow, that's a much easier recruit than somebody who looks at it like an expense. See, I see people all the time, they come in network marketing and they think and they like it's an expense. Well, I can't afford it. But if you can't afford it, that means you already made a financial mistake. Because if you're making a living, they're taking taxes out of your paycheck. So let's go get that money, bring it back into your household. And the best way to do that is through a business deductions. Maybe you want to go on a vacation. All right. Well, if you don't, let's say the vacation costs you $2,000. Well, if you're not a business owner, then you can't write it off. But let's say you take the same vacation and you're a business owner, you're a myECon member. Do some marketing while you're there and write the whole trip off. Now that's a $500 on a $2,000 vacation. That's a $500 tax savings. Let the government partially pay for your vacation. See, it becomes a whole different scenario when you start using the tax laws to your advantage, which business owners can do instead of always paying at the highest level. Because to be honest, if you don't have a business, there are not very many tax deductions for people that are just employees. Doesn't mean your job is bad, but when you add a business in addition to your job, now all of a sudden you got a totally different scenario when it comes to going out and generating. Okay. And then, of course, investing. We're not going to get into investing tonight, but there's tons of places once you get some cash that you can invest, start growing your money. And, worst case scenario, what I always say is get you a good S&P ETF and ride with America. That's a pretty good ride. I'll take that over. I'll take that any day of the week. The 500 largest public companies in the world through the S&P 500, that's a good return. So I'll take that. But, there are lots of good and great investments out there, and you can always, speak to a financial advisor. But you can't go wrong with the S&P 500. Now,